Fire away there.
Hoping
Should be more fun than last week, huh? Cole and
I
Ethan,
imagine so.
you three guys are troopers. Be a little more fun than last week.
A lot to take from that second half. Just looking over that final 20 minutes, what's front of mind for you? What did you like the most?
The conversations that were taking place in the timeouts, kind of 5 6 minutes on down, just the way the guys were, what they were talking about. Um, more importantly than I suppose, yeah, more importantly than what they were talking about, how they were talking. Very confident. Talking about finding a stop, talking about earning a win. That type of conversation, and we really haven't had a lot of that. More of it's come, from us as coaches in the timeouts, and we had our scheme stuff, our X's and O stuff, but the conversation amongst the players was, hey, we have to have a stop. It's time to earn a win. Like that to me um, was the funnest part of the game for me. Was that just the way they approached that part of it.
What clicked in the second half defensively that allowed your team to take them from shooting 55% from the field in the first half to 37% in the second?
Yeah, the physicality when they caught it on the block with the big fella, the double bothered them a little bit. Right? We were able to get to him, but not just get to him and let him look over the top of it and pick us apart. Uh, the physicality of that double team helped us. Right, that bought us some possessions. And then two got going as we saw, and then just a pretty slight adjustment in terms of guys. We just talked about making somebody else shoot a shot. He either was on the free throw line or he was making a jump shot there for that stretch. And so we talked about, hey, you're going to have to stay in the help longer. Right? And we just got we did. We got more active in the help positions next to him when he was coming off a ball screen, just to give him more traffic. So he was going to have to pass the basketball or shoot a really hard shot. And we talked about not fouling him. Right? But I just think the physicality we played with in that post double really that bought us some possessions.
How about Trey tonight? Career high 21 points, makes 6 threes.
Yeah, he's put in a lot of time. I know you guys you hear me talk about it when we're talking about guys making shots or having good offensive games. And Trey, yes, he's put in a ton of time, right? And it always pays off for you, right? You don't know. I mean, you don't know when. You want it to pay off every time you walk out there and play, but that's not it, right? What matters is when he walks out there, he knows how much time he put in. When he walks out there and catches it, he knows he's going to make it. His teammates know he's going to make it. Like, that's what matters, and he's got that right now.
Team took the lead with 19:24 remaining and they never trailed for the rest of the game. I think there's been a lot of Panther fans that wanted to see this team finish like that. How gratifying is that as their coach to see them finish like that?
Oh, I would just tell you, Ethan, that just happy for our guys that the way that they were, again, in the huddles the last 5 minutes, the things that they were talking about, and the way in which they approached it. Happy to see them earn themselves one, because Richmond, as we saw, right, we talked about it. I talked about it pregame. Like, they're tremendously well coached, and that offense is so hard to play against. And one of the things that makes offenses hard to play against is how good the players are. Right, 2 is terrific. The big kid is terrific. 24 had a big first half. The guys on the bench came in and made shots in the first half. 4 gets to the rim. Right, they've got really good players. So you're going to have to earn it. And so if Richmond would have got ahead by 5 with 8 to go and we'd have come back and won the game, right? I'm happy for our guys that they earned themselves one tonight.
When I brought up the defensive success that you guys had, particularly the last 10 minutes, you held them 2 for 11 from the field, brought it up to Nate, and mentioned that on Monday, you didn't hesitate critiquing where the defense was, and he mentioned that you guys had 2 of your best days of practice. That it was the intensity was ratcheted up. Not that you weren't practicing hard already, but do you think that maybe this is an important moment that's happened this week with practice, that there's even more that they can put out there on that practice floor, and here's a result?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, you nailed it, Cole. Like that you're going to play, of all the coach sayings in the universe, like, you're going to play how you practice, right? And we played really good basketball in the Bahamas, right, for most of it, but we went 8 days without a practice, right? And when we got back, I made, I hope I talked about it I know I did at different points, and I know I talked about it with our team. Like, the person who screwed up the most was me. What we did on practice on Monday and Tuesday before we played Belmont was 100% on me, okay? And that hurt us the most last week. And I told our guys after the first day of the 2 days of practice here before this game, just gave them a lot of credit for busting their tails, right? Because we asked a lot of them, both days, right? Both Monday and Tuesday. We asked a lot of them, and not one guy flinched. And that, these guys have been around them enough. We know what we have in our locker room. We know the type of young men that we've got. We know what they're made of. But you still got to answer the bell. When coach puts it on you a little bit, you're going to answer, or you're going to shy away a little bit. And we had 2 great practices, so just really like that about Monday and Tuesday. And you're going to play how you practice. Yeah.
You mentioned on Monday that offense wasn't the concern, but this was your guys' best three-point shooting night of the season. Did it feel like it was your best three-point shooting night of the season?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. I mean, there was some open ones out there, huh, fellas? Like, what did we end up? Yeah, I mean, that's you're going to take that. If you penciled it in every night at 12 for 29, you're going to take it, right? And I'm certain Richmond had a couple standstill open ones as well, right? That's part of the game where both teams have them, but. And we'll for sure take the ones Kyle had in the first half, right? And we've got other guys that, as we know, we got a lot of guys that shoot it at a high rate. Felt like, Nate had a couple in that second half where he's standing there with nobody near him. If he could get 100 of those a night, we'd take 100 of them, right? I mean, it just felt like there was some of those that could have increased that 12 a little bit. But again, right, that's the way the game goes, and they would have missed some too.
Jay, you moved into sole possession of second place on the Valley all-time wins list with the win tonight. Any thoughts?
Yeah, Josh. The thing that I'm thinking about the most goes back to the first question. The way the guys were in the timeouts, the last 5 or 6 minutes, like that's. I haven't gotten really past that, right? Because that's a big moment for this team, right? When it comes to those numbers, yeah, these guys, along with teammates they've had, and then you go back to players and coaches, right? I mean, I'm not gonna. When I was younger, I dismissed that stuff. And when you're younger, you don't have that stuff happen that often. But we had some pretty good runs with some of those teams when I was, a young head coach. You win 30 games. You do some things that are pretty special. And I always, push them to the side. Nah. The reality is, it's really hard to do what our program has done for since 2001. Right? It took 2 years to get up and running, but since 2003 to do it for this long. It's really cool, right? I mean, there's players that have put a ton into this, right? And so I hope I don't dismiss it. You guys can call me on it if I do. Hopefully we get another couple that matter. But it's really cool, right? When you got guys that believe in what you're doing and come play for you, and then they win a bunch of games, like, it's really cool. So we got a bunch of pride in our program for the number you mentioned.
Who sparked the discussions during these timeouts?
Oh, Titan's voice ringing in my ears still, coming to those timeouts. Bowen, Huddy, the big play on the other end when Huddy, I don't know if it was kind of a block and then a loose ball, and then they hit it out and that kind of scrum. And Huddy had something to say as he was coming to the timeout. But Titans is really ringing in my ear. Yeah.
Does it need to come from the players in those kinds of situations?
It's best if it does. Right? Like we had a timeout or two tonight where the coach was the only one talking. Right? There was one or two of those. I wasn't real happy with the way we were for a couple stretches. Some things we had talked about the last couple of days that happened last week. Like So there was one or two of those tonight, but it's always best if it's coming from the players. Always. I haven't been around a team as a player, an assistant, or a head coach where it doesn't multiply. Like what I say matters, what they say times it by 5, maybe by 10. Like it just does. Right? It just matters more when they're doing it. Yeah. Good. All right. Thanks.